Chapter 101 Praise Me. He was really good at analyzing. She admired a lot. I didn't say that. You didn't say it doesn't mean that you didn't think about it. William Walton put down his fork. So, Miss Green, what do you think is wrong with me? Was it because I wasn't persistent enough when chasing after you? Or is life not enough to take care of you? Or is it that my performance on the bed is not satisfactory? She blushed again. Do you feel bad if you don't mention what happened that night? Laura, why do you blush whenever I mention what happened that night? Tell me honestly, do you think you're imagining things behind my back? What nonsense are you talking about? I was so drunk that night. I can't even remember what happened. So do you need me to recall it for you? He stood up and walked over to her. After throwing down the fork, she immediately jumped up from the small coffee table to avoid him. William Walton, you are messing around again. If you still want to do this, then immediately leave my house. I'm a man who eats soft but not hard, and the more you threaten me, the more I'll have to face it, he said, circling the table to chase her. The two of them chased each other around the small living room. Laura Green screamed, William Walton, stop quickly. I will be your grandson if I stop first. As soon as he finished speaking, he leaped and threw her onto the sofa. Being suppressed by him, she instinctively covered her chest. Looking at her nervous expression, William Walton smiled. I'll give you one last chance. Whether or not you can escape from me tonight will depend on your own performance. Her chest heaved up and down as she stared at him nervously. William Walton said charmingly, In what way am I not outstanding enough? You're very good. William Walton immediately lowered his head and kissed her lips. Only after a full minute passed did he finally let her go. Laura was frightened and blinked at him. His breathing became heavy. Still not saying? Are you really waiting for me to strip you clean? I never thought that you wouldn't be outstanding. I'm not laughing at whether you're excellent or not. I'm just laughing at how you brag about yourself. Self-praise? Yeah, you said it. There's nothing wrong with your Walton family's genes. Am I wrong? That's right. But who would be so conceited as to boast about it? If someone else praise you, that means you have some good virtue. William Walton smirked. I have never cared about whether others think I am good or bad, so I don't care whether they praise me, but now, praise me instead. Praise him, this man. If you don't mind, I'm going to go on, he said, head down. She quickly said in a loud voice, You are very handsome, with a good figure and working ability. Everyone in Philadelphia knows about you. You'll also like a compromise transformed in love, 1M52-9K, Abhimanyu Rathore. Rude, workaholic CEO of Rathore Empire, devilishing hot. Every girl's drools over him, but loves his family to dearest. Sweet B. The QB bad boy playing for keeps, 8.7 276K. As Dallas and Drayton navigate life in the spotlight, Spencer is navigating intense feelings for Nathan, her best friend's brother. My Arabian Prince, 197.75K. Aaron is what you describe as a prideful and arrogant prince who gets what he wants whenever he wants. He listens to no one and makes his own rules, but there was one P. Manal 245K, 44.5K. A few minutes into the walk, I heard footsteps shuffling behind me. I tensed up and halted in my tracks. My heart began to pound violently in my chest. I felt too afraid. Professor's Dark Desire, 360K, 5.2K. Professor's Dark Desire. Just as a warning, this story contains themes of abuse, assault, and unhealthy relationships. If these topics are difficult for you, please, nothing lasts forever, you didn't. 4M81.2K. Diana is an 18-year-old girl about to start her senior year until she bumps into a woman at the bookstore who has quite the personality. The woman takes the book Diana H., A Love Reborn from the Ashes, 145K, 8.1K. What have Can and Sanam experienced in the year that their hearts have been apart, and now that fate has allowed their eyes to meet again, and their souls to feel the That's all? Also, and. She thought for a moment, not knowing what to say. It seems that in your eyes I'm no different from anyone else. This is probably the reason why you don't like me. He looked hurt. No, she said, realizing that she might have hurt him. We haven't known each other for long. I may not know you well enough. He looked at her seriously. Then you will understand me in the future. Laura, don't always oppose me. From today onwards, take a good look at my merits. One day, you will know that I am different from others. He sucked her lips again. Do you understand? She lay down on the sofa, feeling very nervous, because she could already clearly feel the change under his body. Won't you answer? His voice rang out again. She quickly nodded her head. William Walton looked down at her red lips from above. He knew it was time to get up. If this went on, he really wouldn't be able to control himself. But he really couldn't get up. He stared at her lips for a moment, then lowered his head and kissed her lips. His kiss was soft and tender. At the beginning she was very nervous, but slowly she relaxed. Her tense body also softened. When William Walton felt the change in her, he was even more unable to control himself. When his big hand touched her waist, a sound exploded in her head. She opened her eyes and looked at him. At this moment, he had an expression of infatuation. She reached out her hand to press against him. Their lips parted. Her breathing became ragged. William Walton. The voice that came out of her mouth was actually a bit soft. She swallowed a mouthful of saliva and her face turned completely red. She struggled to turn her head, not daring to look at him. She tried to calm her breathing. However, he gently pinched her chin and turned her face to let her look at him. What do you want to tell me? Look at me. It's getting late, I'll walk you downstairs. William Walton smirked. Even though my bullets are already loaded, you still want me to withdraw my troops? She blushed. It's not right for us to do this. What's wrong? It's not right to mess around for the sake of your body feeling good at the moment. William Walton laughed sinisterly. So, you think that it was very satisfying just now? William Walton. Her voice was a bit soft, but his eyes were filled with shyness. Seeing her current state, William Walton cursed in his heart. Damn it. He had to restrain himself. It was her heart he wanted, not the body. If he did it for the sake of a moment of happiness, she would be scared and pushed him far away. It wasn't worth it. He got off her. You turned me down again. He looked at her. She hurriedly sat up, tidied up her clothes, and moved towards the sofa. She stood up and walked towards the door. Let me walk you downstairs. Seeing that she didn't even dare to look at her own face, the corner of William Walton's lips rose. He walked to her side and naturally embraced her shoulders. She wanted to struggle, but he calmly said, Tomorrow night, I will still come to eat. I'm having dinner at school tomorrow night. William Walton raised his eyebrows. Then I'll go to your school to eat with you. Are you threatening me? I do like to eat with you, because when I'm with you, I can relax a little. Upon hearing his words, she hesitated for a moment. However, when she reached his house, she stopped and looked at him. Then I have a request. Go ahead. Things like tonight can't happen again. It's wrong for us to do this. William Walton laughed sinisterly. Actually, you're afraid that if you go on like this, you'll sink under my body. She gouged at him, and just as she was about to get angry, he naturally embraced her shoulders. Okay, I promise you. The warm expression on her face loosened up a bit. She stepped away from him and went downstairs with him. He got in the car and rolled down the window. At school, if there's anything you don't like, tell me. Be careful when driving. He smiled, started the car, and drove away. She watched his car disappear out of sight and was about to turn around when the lights of a brand new black sedan parked off to the side flashed on. Using the light from the street lamp, she could clearly see that the person in the carriage was actually Avery Harris. Chapter 102, 2 points. When she saw Avery Harris staring at her inside the car, she noticed a pair of cold eyes. Then she clenched into a fist. How could he know? The two of them looked at each other through the window. He didn't get out of the car, and she didn't say hello. After a moment, she turned around and walked upstairs silently. Avery Harris was already a stranger to her. Whatever his purpose in coming here was, she should not be bothered with it. Avery Harris did not get out of the car to bother her either. When she arrived at school the next morning, a student in the group told her that a girl in their dorm was uncomfortable the night before because of the incompatibility of the life here. The teacher in the infirmary had given her some medicine and told her to find her counselor this morning. After reading the message, she immediately contacted the girl and went to her dormitory. The girl's body was still weak. She asked the other students to hurry to class and brought the girl to the hospital. They wandered around the hospital for the better part of the morning, and by the time they got back to school, it was already noon. When the parents of the girls heard that their child was sick, they flew to Philadelphia overnight. Laura brought the parents of the girls to her dormitory. Seeing that the girl's body was in a much better condition, she finally felt a lot more at ease. She arranged the parents of the girl to stay in the hostel. This matter was finally over. It was already 1:30 in the afternoon, and there was no food left in the cafeteria. She went back to the office hungry and said to Mia, the teacher in charge of the third year in the office, Miss Green, just now, Mr. Harris called and told you to go to his office when you came back. Laura frowned. Why was Avery Harris looking for her at this time? Okay, Mia, thank you. After drinking a cup of water, she left. Arriving at the door of Avery Harris's office, she knocked on the door. Avery Harris's voice transmitted over. Come in. Mr. Harris, you're looking for me. Avery Harris sized her up and coldly pointed to the seat in front of his desk. Take a seat. She walked over and sat down. The two of them looked at each other. No one would have thought that they would meet again with such an identity one day. Avery Harris threw a form to her. This is your evaluation form for this month. I have deducted 2 points for you. Why are you doing this? I heard that one of your students felt uncomfortable yesterday, so you took her to the hospital. Yes, she said frankly. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But that child was uncomfortable last night. Why did you take her to the hospital this morning? She didn't call me because she was afraid of affecting me. Avery Harris's expression was cold, and her voice carried a trace of gloom. Are you sure that it wasn't you who didn't let the children disturb you during your rest? You, her hands clenched into fists on her knees. Do you know why I deducted your points? Because of your negligence, students' parents came all the way to school. This not only affected their work, but also made them feel uneasy about the school, thinking that we did not take good care of their children. It is because you did not fulfill your own responsibility. So, you should be punished, she said coldly. All right, Avery Harris, you can do as you wish. If you want to deduct the points, you can deduct as much as you want, but I want to see if you have the ability to deduct my points in one go and kick me out of this school. After she finished speaking, she tossed the assessment form onto his body, turned around, and left. When she walked to the side of the door, Avery Harris's voice was neither cold nor hot, and his tone was full of ridicule. Rest assured, anyone can be chased away, but not with your Laura. After all, you are Mr. Walton's woman. As long as you act coquettishly with him, buy yourself some flair and accompany him to sleep, then he will be completely captivated by you and will do everything for you. Don't you think so? She bit her lips and there was already mist in her eyes, but she knew she wouldn't cry. Because a man who humiliated her like this wasn't worth her tears. She let out a sigh, turned around and smiled naturally at him. You are right. Looks like I have to properly serve Mr. Walton tonight. After all, he is different from those who can only use their mouths to say love. Not only will he be able to do it, he will also keep his word. She gave him a cold slap, opened the door, and went out. Avery Harris threw all the documents on the table onto the ground and roared. Laura, you have no sense of self, love, and no sense of shame. Hearing Avery Harris's angry roar, she sneered. Self, love. In the past, she had always kept her virginity and wanted to be with him for the entire life. However, what did she obtain in the end? It was his betrayal. What is self-love? If she should obey him and serve him after he had made a mistake, she would have been more willing to be a woman who did not know self-love. After returning to her office, she opened the documents as if nothing had happened and began to busy herself with some trivial matters. The door was suddenly pushed open, and Gary, who was in charge of the second year of university, ran in from outside. Seeing that Laura was also in the office, he suddenly fell silent. Mia looked at Gary. What big news? Gary laughed awkwardly. No, nothing. She looked at Gary and laughed. Gary, do you need me to leave first? No, Gary shook his head. Seeing that, Mia thought for a moment. Your news are related to the Miss Green. Sigh, actually it's nothing. I just heard that Miss Green was deducted 2 points. Mia looked Laura. The office suddenly became quiet. She nodded Laura and smiled. Yes. Why? Mia did not understand. Because last night, a student felt uncomfortable. I didn't know that the parents of the students had come all the way to school. Gary was surprised. Just because of this? Mia also said, if this student didn't tell you, then this wouldn't be your problem. She smiled wryly and said, forget it, let's just treat it as bad luck. Mia and Gary looked at each other. The two of them both felt that this Miss Green had a worrisome future. But in the current situation, with an arm twisted not much, even if they felt that this was unfair, they wouldn't be able to help. She sent a message in the group. Students, pay attention please. In the future, if anyone has any urgent matters, whether it's night or day, you can call me at any time. I'll be like the wind and rush to your side as fast as I can. After she sent the message, most of the students in the group replied, received, and started chatting animatedly. But right after, Benjamin Walton gave a serious reply, causing the entire group to instantly become quiet. Chapter 103, Disagreement Between Mouth and Heart. He only typed 2 words, everyone, quiet. There was not a single reply in the group. Everyone waited for a full minute before Benjamin Walton sent another message. We are all human beings. Please be considerate. Miss Green is not much older than us. She must have a lot of private matters to take care of, so in Miss Green's private time, if possible, don't disturb her. Except for urgent matters, of course. Laura smiled at Benjamin's reply. This was the first time that this brat left a message in the group. There were some girls who were infatuated with Benjamin Walton, and so they instantly exploded in agreement with him. But unfortunately, Benjamin Walton didn't reply to any of them, as if the message just now wasn't sent by him. He looked at the girls who were in high spirits, threw her cell phone to the side and got busy. After work in the afternoon, Sabrina and Gary left. Mia also finished her work by 6:30. She packed her bag and looked at Laura. Miss Green, are you not done yet? She pursed her lips and shook her head. Not yet. Mia, take care. You, don't work too hard. In our line of work, we do all sorts of trivial things. Not everything can be done that day. This thread is too messy, so we need to talk a little bit about it. She looked at her Laura and smiled. Thank you for your reminder. Mia patted her shoulder. In the future, we will be colleagues. If there is anything that you need my help with, just tell me, and I will do my best to help you. Thank you, Mia. Then, I'll be leaving first. All right. Mia pursed her lips and walked out first. She walked out of the office and shook her head with a smile. It seemed that this girl really did not remember her. It was already 7:30 by the time she finished her work. She looked at the time and thought about William Walton had said that he would go to her place to eat. She quickly tidied up his desk and left the school while jogging. When she arrived at the school gate, she ran towards the bus stop without any distractions. But a car beeped by the side of the road. She turned to look. It was William Walton. She suddenly stopped. Surprised, she turned around and opened the door to his car. Why are you here? To pick you up. Then why didn't you call me? Wouldn't it be more sincere of me to come personally? She pursed her lips and smiled, naturally fastening her seatbelt. You seem happy that I've come to pick you up. Why wouldn't I be happy if I was able to save a bus fare? Lear. William Walton started the car and left. I won't go back to cook dinner tonight. I'll take you out to eat. Where? Don't you like to keep me in suspense? I'll keep you in suspense today. Then can I make a condition? She looked at him. Speak. I'm so hungry. Can we not go too far and directly go to the nearest place to eat? Hungry? What, aren't you full for lunch today? As he spoke, he rolled his eyes and said naughtily, or do you have an inexplicable appetite when you see me? Can you stop joking with me? You don't know how busy my day is. I didn't eat at all at noon because of an accident. William Walton frowned. Something as huge as this, could it be that it's more important than your own body? If you don't eat a meal, you won't die. It's just that you're very hungry. She looked at him and smiled brightly. Tonight I might eat a lot. All right, then I'll get someone to prepare the food enough for Pig. Let's go. Laura Green gouged at him. Pig. He's the pig. His whole family is. Forget it, forget it. If pigs were so beautiful as his family members, who would eat them? William Walton asked as he drove. What happened today? It's nothing. It's just a student of mine who suffered from diarrhea last night. I accompanied her to the hospital this morning, and when I returned, her parents came again. I was so busy that I didn't get any food. William Walton sighed. She looked at him and said, I was the one who was starving. What are you sighing for? My heart hurts, can't I? She looked at him, Laura, and felt her heart warm up. However, she still pursed her lips on the surface. In any case, your heart hurts, and I'm still very hungry. So, don't worry about me. Just speed up. William Walton shook his head and laughed. The speed at which they were driving did indeed increase a lot. He directly brought her to Walton family's villa. She sat in the car and pouted. Did you temporarily change the location to your house, or are you planning to take me to your house? Guess. He unbuckled his seatbelt and walked around to the passenger side. He opened the door and looked at her, who refused to get out. If you don't get out of the car, are you complaining that the food in my house is not tasty? What would you like to eat? Tell me. I will fire them and look for someone else. Laura Green quickly got off the car and looked at him. William Walton, don't do anything rash. Who said that your family's food is not tasty? I just felt embarrassed. Why? It's not like we've lived together before. You had eaten a lot, don't you remember? She glared at him. Can you stop talking nonsense about we are living together? It was you who said that living in my house is illegal. She refused to accept this. But you said it yourself. That's just a normal employment. If we were living together illegally, then all these people in your family would be living together with you? William Walton couldn't help but laugh. Fine, I won't argue with you. In any case, we have already done it and even slept. You are already my woman. A good man won't argue with his woman. I'll just follow you. He held out his hand to her. Come on, girl, come home and eat with me. When he said that, she got even more angry. She said angrily, I'm not going back with you. Take me to my home. Okay, bye. She dejectedly got off the car, put her bag on her shoulders and said, okay, you don't need to send me. I will walk by myself. After saying that, she turned around and walked in the direction of the bus stop. But how could William Walton let her succeed? He quickly walked a few steps forward and directly lifted her up in his arms. In order not to fall and be ruined, she had to wrap her arms around his neck. William Walton, you're going too far. Quickly put me down. No. You are shameless. William Walton smirked and glanced at her. If you dare resist again, or even curse at me once, I'll throw you back in the car and let you see what does shameless mean. Upon hearing this, she immediately went silent. She looked at him and swallowed her saliva. Seeing her expression, which instantly became obedient, William Walton forced a smile and said naughtily, Do you still want me to throw you in the car? Miss Green? She shook her head and pointed to the front door of the villa. Go to your house and eat. William Walton laughed proudly. He seemed to have found the trick to deal with this woman. Chapter 104. What are you thinking about? The arrival of Laura had caused the kitchen of the Walton family to become a mess. She felt really guilty. After all, it was already quite late. On the other hand, William Walton, who was at the side, had his legs crossed, watching the television with a comfortable posture. A servant brought up the washed pineapple berries. William Walton immediately brought out the fruit bowl and handed it to her. Eat some fruit first. After the servant left, she took the fruit gently and began to eat it. William Walton thought for a moment, then went closer to her and asked, Oh yeah, what fruits do you like to eat? Me? Banana. William Walton gave an ambiguous smile. What you like is actually, it's big and long, but unfortunately, it's too soft. She blushed and slanted her head. What are you thinking about? Isn't the banana big and long? I even like to eat mangoes. William Walton couldn't help but laugh. She was unhappy and was about to put down the fruit bowl. When she stopped eating, William Walton helped her protect the bowl. As an exchange, let me tell you, I love eating cherries the most. Laura looking at him, she said, I thought you liked to eat durian the most. Are you mocking me? With a smile, she continued to eat. Finally, she had managed to turn the tables around. Awesome. She finished a bowl of pineapple berries and the butler also walked over from behind her. Mr. Walton, Miss Green, dinner is ready. William Walton looked at her. Come, let's go eat. When the two of them arrived at the dining table, she was shocked. In less than an hour, the aunts had cooked more than 10 dishes. She swallowed her saliva and looked towards William Walton. He winked at her. Sit down and eat. Laura sat down in embarrassment. The butler said, Miss Green, we do not know what you like to eat. Young master said, you are hungry. Let us make some preparations. Take a look. If there is anything that is not to your liking, I will remove it for you. No, sorry for troubling you. Thank you. Miss Green, please enjoy. Okay, bring everyone out first. William Walton knew that she did not like being surrounded by so many people when she was eating, so he sent everyone out first. Laura said when they were out, why did you tell them to prepare so many dishes? We can't finish them all. Like I said, comparing the amount of pigs to be fed, if we pour it into the pig trough, it might not be enough for the pigs to eat. She got angry. William Walton laughed heartily. All right, I won't tease you anymore. Hurry up and eat. As he spoke, he helped her to pick up the dishes. Laura pursed her lips and started to eat. William Walton only ate a few mouthfuls before accepting a phone call. He went to the study room. By the time he finished his work and came out, she was already full. She was carrying her bag on her body, looking like she was about to leave. William Walton was puzzled. Are you full? That's right, it's getting late. I need to hurry back. We are eating together. Since you are full, you want to leave now, but how about me? I haven't finished eating yet. Come and accompany me. As he spoke, he walked to the dining table and sat down. She said, This is your house. You can eat by yourself. There's no bus in 10 minutes. That would be better. You're not leaving tonight. I don't want to. She firmly refused. She was determined not to live with wolves again. It was too dangerous. William Walton's eyes widened as he looked at her. But tonight, even if you oppose it, it is useless. You must stay. Laura, William Walton, what are you planning to do this time? Planning? William Walton shook his head and laughed. What are you thinking about this time? Don't worry, I won't let you have me tonight. I want you to stay, so that I can help me with some work. She was speechless. What did he mean by, I won't let her have it? She didn't want to have him anyway, right? She pouted and said unhappily, What do you need me to do? I just received a call, and temporarily I have to deal with a very important cooperation case. Daniel will be coming over soon, and then you help him assist me. Cooperation means more power. Then she took off her bag and nodded. All right then. She sat down at the table again and ate with him. He asked with an evil smile, When I said I was a man you couldn't get tonight, you looked disappointed. She glared at him. If you keep talking about this, I'm going to leave. He looked at her and smiled lovingly. Do you know what I like about you the most? Your character is really some kind of stone. It stinks and is hard, but tell me, why would I like it so much? She ignored him. Are you sick? You're looking for a beating. Probably. He laughed heartily. Half an hour later, Daniel arrived. He carried a stack of documents, and the three of them went to William Walton's study room. The three of them divided up their work, each finding a comfortable spot and getting busy. In order to cope with their temporary overtime work, the butler had someone prepare for supper in the kitchen. The three of them busied themselves until 1 a.m. William Walton looked up from the desk and saw that she was as a cat. She had fallen asleep on the tea table. He walked over with light steps and took out the document under her arm and gave it to Daniel. After that, he gently lifted her up in his arms. Seeing that, Daniel went to open the door. Seeing William Walton carrying his up the stairs, Daniel clicked his tongue. This Miss Green definitely did not just save the Milky Way in her previous life. The next morning, she woke up with haziness. She took a look at the unfamiliar environment before abruptly sitting up. This is William Walton's room. Hearing the sound of water splashing in the bathroom, she felt like she was in a dream. When did she come upstairs? Her eyes touched the clock on the wall and her mind buzzed. It's over. It's 7:15. She will be late. She pulled back the covers and got out of bed. She couldn't find her cell phone or bag, so she remembered that it was in his study. No wonder the alarm didn't ring. She hurried out of the room and down the stairs. When William Walton came out, he discovered that Laura was no longer there. He changed his clothes and came downstairs where the butler had just come in. Mr. Walton, how was your sleep? Where's Miss Green? Why haven't I seen her? Miss Green just ran down in a hurry. She said that she was going to be late and her face wasn't even washed, and she already said that she was going to leave while carrying her bag. I brought breakfast for her and sent a car over to send her off. All right, I understand. Go to the guest room and wake Daniel up. All right, Lord Third. William Walton smiled. He could already imagine her flustered look. It was the peak of the traffic jam, and she was so anxious that she wanted to cry. It was 7:50 when the driver drove up to the school gate. She sprinted into the office building in 7 minutes, but unfortunately, just as she was about to enter the office, Avery Harris coincidentally came out. Chapter 105. Every minute and every second is precious. Seeing that she was still carrying her backpack and was looking flustered, Avery Harris frowned and spoke to her. Stop. She stood there and sighed in her heart. When one was down on their luck, drinking cold water would make one clench their teeth. She stood still and looked at him. Mr. Harris, what's the matter? Miss Green, my rules are very clear. If you are late, you will be reduced by 1 point. She showed him her phone. There's still 1 minute before I'm late for work, so I'm not really late. Avery Harris gritted his teeth and took a step forward. She took a step back, keeping the distance. Avery Harris's voice was cold. Why? After being with him, you've lost the virtue of being punctual? Or could it be that bed came especially sticky because you were with him? The damned Avery Harris. Wouldn't he be unhappy if he didn't disgust her? All right, then she'll take advantage of him. She smiled. When I'm with him, every minute and every second is precious to me. I can't wait to stick to him. But Mr. Harris, you are wrong about one thing. I still have the virtue of being punctual because I'm not late at all. She pushed the door open, walked into the office, and closed the door behind her. Avery Harris gnashed his teeth in anger and left the office building with a flick of his sleeve. After Laura entering the office, the 3 colleagues simultaneously set their gazes on her. She smiled awkwardly. Morning. Kathy, who was in charge of his senior year, smiled. Dearest, it's getting late. You were just a bit late. She smiled apologetically. I've been too tired these past 2 days. I can't get up in the morning. Mia laughed. When I was just doing this, it was like this. I just need a few days to get used to it. Kathy said. That's right. I was initially preparing to work as a coach and study master at the same time. But in the end, I was so busy during the first year that I didn't even have time to read books. Thankfully, I finally got used to the job and managed to keep up with my studies. She smiled to Laura as she sat down. Gary said, don't mention it. It's all tears. You 3 can do your work while I have to go to the student union. I think what we are doing now is not as instructors or teachers. It's more like a babysitter. The 3 of them laughed at the same time. In the morning, she tidied up all the student information and filled up all the documents that they had not filled. She also sent a notice to the group. Noon, Mia asked. Miss Green, do you have an appointment at noon? No, Mia. What's the matter? I'm just asking if you want to go to the cafeteria with me. She waved the meal card in her hand. She nodded. All right. She got up, packed her things, and followed Mia downstairs. The 2 of them had just reached the office building when an aunt stepped out of a car beside the door. Her aunt carried 2 heat preservation boxes and walked in front of her. She respectfully bowed and said, Miss Green, isn't that the aunt that cooked in William Walton's kitchen? Auntie, why are you here? I'm here to deliver your lunch under the order of Mr. Walton. As she spoke, she handed over the lunchbox in her hand to her. Laura took the lunchbox. She was so surprised that her mouth was still open. William Walton actually got his auntie to bring her food? The school obviously has a canteen, okay? This is too much. Miss Green, I will leave this lunchbox with you. When I come tomorrow to deliver the food to you, I will take it with me. Come back tomorrow? After looking at the gazes sent over by the teaching staff, she hurriedly said to her aunt, Auntie, thank you. You can go back first. I will call Mr. Walton. Okay, miss. Please enjoy. Auntie got in the car and left. Mia looked at her and laughed. Looks like I have to go to the cafeteria by myself. I'm sorry, Mia. I can't go to the cafeteria now. You don't need to feel embarrassed. Having a surprise is a good thing. Does this prove that life is colorful? She patted her warm shoulder. Then you can go back to the office. I'll go first. She nodded her head and went to the cafeteria. She went back to her office and placed the lunchbox on the table, then immediately dialed William Walton's number. William Walton picked up the phone and spoke in a satisfied voice. How rare our Miss Green actually took the initiative to call me. Let me guess, the reason for your call is because my box lunch of love? She said, Why didn't you tell me that someone will send me food? Because I'm going to give you a surprise. What kind of surprise would it be if I told you? But it scared me, okay? She said. Auntie said that she will be back tomorrow. You can't be planning to bring me lunch every day, right? It's like this. Don't. Our school has a canteen. Yes, there's a cafeteria. But didn't you eat yesterday as well? Wasn't there a special situation yesterday? I came back late and the dining hall is closed. The reason why I got someone to bring you food is to deal with any sudden situations. The dining hall will be closed, but I will not close my doors. She replied. In short, don't send them off anymore. Someone will gossip about me. If you are a person who is afraid of people talking nonsense, you won't stay in your university to work. Besides, I also have my own reasons for doing so. Only after you eat my lunch can I be at ease and go and eat your dinner. I don't want to owe you. Then in the future, I won't let you cone and eat my dinner. This will be fair. William Walton laughed sinisterly. I sent the food out on good intentions, but you want to use this matter to push me far? No way. You can't decide anything between you and me. All right, I still have something I need to busy myself with, so you should eat first. If you have any objections, we'll talk about them later tonight. But you need to be mentally prepared, because it's useless to oppose them. He hung up first. She stared at the lunchbox in front of her. She felt that the development of some things was becoming more and more detached from her original intention. At first, she thought she would be able to end all communication with him once she was finished with his tutelage. Later on, she firmly believed that as long as she finished her internship with his company, she would be able to end the relationship with him. And then, she felt that William Walton liked her out of actuation, because there wasn't a person like her who didn't put him in her eyes. She felt that if she refused him many times, he would have to give up. But why? He was even more stubborn than her. Was he really planning on not stopping until he achieved his goal? But between her and him, there was no future at all. Could it be that he really couldn't see that they were people of completely different worlds? Where do the birds in the sky and the fish in the water search for the future? The longer she spent with him, the more she owed him. But now, how could she make him give up on her?